Hello and welcome back to episode 6 of My Team Career Mode. We are on the way to France now after the disappointment in Canada. If you haven't seen that, do go and check out the last episode. We aren't able to get anything going on the R&D at the moment because everyone's either not able to go to the next one or already reached department capacity. So we aren't able to upgrade any of the facilities either at the moment. So it's just going to be a case of advancing through. We need to put some activities in place though. So we'll get some cash coming in. And we'll do a bit of weight training for our driver. And also a few extra resource points. And
okay, we've had the new parts come through the fabrication process. We'll have them with us for the next episode. We need your input on how to address an issue concerning our driver.
So, if we agree to do yoga classes, he gets a bit more awareness or racecraft. We'll let him do some awareness.
I appreciate you taking the time to help out.
And then we'll just carry on the run to the French Grand Prix. Hopefully, this time around we don't have any problems with the car itself. What we are going to do, we're switching back to the first engine on each engine part, so we're using like a practice and a race engine basically as we head to the race weekend. Hopefully that will help us out a lot by keeping the race engine a bit fresher. And if we have a quick look at the messages, so we've had a weight reduction and an ERS upgrade come in, which doesn't push us up as much as we would hope. It actually results in us going back to being the worst team on the grid, but we are right on the back of Williams and Haas, so we will be able to battle with them. With the right setup, we can probably challenge the Alfa Romeo as well as we were in Canada, until disaster, of course. Hopefully this time around we'll be able to keep pace with them. I think in qualifying, I've started to like France since I got a wheel, so hopefully we'll be okay. So we actually went ahead and skipped straight into qualifying because I don't think there's much point in showing you much of practice. However, we did have a slight error because I did the skip to qualifying and it turns out I'm on the old power unit rather than swapping to the newer set. So we have already got a worn engine, particularly the ICE and the turbo. However, here into turn 1 and 2 we get a good start to our lap and hopefully we'll be able to keep it going throughout. So far we've yet to get out of Q1 in this career mode, so maybe this will be the time when we manage to pull it off as we come down the DRS straight after turn 6 and 7 and up towards 8 and 9. We are expecting rain late in the session, so we're out early to try and get our lap in, knowing that otherwise we could be in danger of not getting our lap in. Although, now that we're out, it looks very clear, so maybe it'll be more towards the end of Q2 or Q3 that the rain arrives. You can see there Valtteri Bottas going fastest so far as we come round turn 11, the long right-hander, which, as I mentioned, is one of the corners that I now like on a wheel. This whole sector 3 used to be a lot more difficult on a controller. On a wheel, it's quite fun as we come round the final turn and down the main straight. How is that going to do for us? We come across the line with a 1:31.5, puts us ahead of Raikkonen, behind Verstappen and Norris and Bottas, but that's to be expected. We then come back out on our second set of softs. We're 15th at this stage, so we're right on the border of elimination as we come through turn 2. And then in the end we come across the line. We're well down on our first lap, so nothing we can do to improve the lap. However, it's just about enough. Us and Mick Schumacher go through with the 2 Alfa Romeos out. Then at the start of Q2, we rush out to get straight out on the softs, and it's already starting to rain, which I saw as an opportunity. Can we get a quick lap in before the rain gets too bad, where we'll actually be faster on the softs than what the intermediates will be? So we're just going to give it our best. At this point, it was also almost if throwing everything at it. If we spin out and lose the chance, we're unlikely to make it through Q2 anyway. So let's just see what we can do. You can see at the bottom there, you've got the Mercedes, a Red Bull, and a Ferrari still in the pit lane along with an Aston Martin. As we come into turn 8 and 9, we're of course following the other Ferrari and Charles Leclerc. But we come out of the turn 9 chicane and head up towards turn 10 and 11. This one's a really awkward corner because gear 8 doesn't quite feel right. Gear 7 seems to be a little bit too strained. But then as we come past there into turn 12 and 13, we stayed relatively close to the Ferrari throughout the lap. They have pulled away a little bit, but that's to be expected. I've stayed a lot closer than I expected to stay to them. And we come out of turn 15, we get a good exit, put our foot down, Leclerc goes fastest, we go 1.2 seconds behind him. However, as we come back into the pitch, you can see we're sat in 8th, Alonso and Schumacher qualifying below us, and in the end, Hamilton just about sneaks through. Bottas and Perez went out on intermediates in the end. Sainz did his lap on softs but too late. Vettel and Stroll did theirs too late and went on intermediates, which means we, by jumping the gun, were able to actually get into Q3 for the first time in our career. Mick Schumacher very unlucky not to follow us through. And surprisingly, we are in Q3. We're on the intermediates for it. Of course, because the rain is still coming down here. But we've got a chance to put ourselves in. Well, we're already in the top 10. I almost considered not going out at all in Q3 to save the engine. That little bit extra, but I thought, well, we're only doing like 1, maybe 2 laps of actual pushing. So what harm can it do? We'll give it our best and see what we can pull off. After the first lap, we are well down on the guys ahead of us. But then this is now our lap at the end of the session, and we're 8/10 up on our previous time. You can see the rain has largely stopped, so we're just on a damp track that's started to dry out, which means lap times are getting quicker for everyone. But we're going to be by far the last to cross the line, so we might have a chance of having the best lap time possible, because everybody else will have dried the track that little bit more for us than they have for themselves, which you can see here as we come through turn 11, over a second up on our previous lap time. I'm assuming the other guys have improved their times, but we don't know how much by. Ours was 1:43 last time, so we're looking for a 1:42.1, depending on what we can pull off in these last 2 corners. And we accelerate out of turn 15, about 1 second and a tenth up as we come to cross the line. And where is that going to have put us?
We're all ready for tomorrow's
We're in
race, but before we
7th
begin, let's have a quick
for
look at those
the
who will
French
spot in
Grand
the
Prix.
grid. Hamilton, Verstappen and Lando NORRIS.
We have somehow put a
Don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow
United
as we
Racing
head into
car
the Grand Prix.
in 7th place, which is an absolutely absurd result for us to get.
Here we are again then at Le Castellet for another round of this year's Formula One World Championship. Renault took their first French Grand Prix win all the way back in the inaugural race in 1906, but it was another 73 years before they could take their second. I'm sure Alpine will be pushing hard to delight the local fans here today. The circuit Paul Ricard then, a 3.6 mile track, 25 miles east of Marseille. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, with the main overtaking chance expected going into turn 8. Top speeds today should be around 205 miles per hour. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, all trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc and Tsunoda. Ace, Gasly, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon. Mick Schumacher, Bottas, Sergio Perez and Sainz. Vettel, Stroll, Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi. Russell, Mazepin, Latifi and Daniel Ticktum. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
This is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix. Let's give them a race worth watching.
We ended up deciding, because we could see the rain was coming in towards the end of the race, we'll go soft to hard so the hards can then last until that rain comes in. We get started as the 5 lights go out, and we are well out of our depth in this type of position as Gasly goes straight down the outside of us. Tsunoda's also next to us, but we do manage to shut the door on him. We exceed track limits a little bit to do so, but you can see there we're not going to be competing with Gasly there as we come into turn 3, and we are going to have our backs against the wall to maintain a good position here. But I see it more as an opportunity to try and beat the Alfa Romeos, the Williams, the Haases, and maybe the Alpines if we can get a bit of luck, or at least one of them perhaps. As Ocon has a first attempt at going past us here into turn 8, but we do defend well from him by sticking on the racing line, and he's just not able to get the dive bomb quite right. However, out of turn 9, Ocon, with the fresh engine that we should have had, just goes past us with absolute ease. And that is a worrying sign how easy he got past us, because this engine is going to be struggling throughout the race. But with a bit of luck, we can maintain good positions. Points would be nice here.
We're monitoring some wear on the ICE. Be aware that we will start to see a loss of power.
But as Jeff says, we're going to be struggling with the engine not having the power. You can see here, I'm just flicking through, you can see 74% wear on the ICE, 72% on the turbocharger, which is far from ideal. But down into turn 1 and 2, we managed to maintain it there. However, coming up towards turn 10 once again, Tsunoda goes past us and there's nothing we can really do. I tried to defend.
Focus. We need to stay on form.
But nothing we could do to defend. Perez trying to get up the inside, but we shut the door on him this time, as we've now already dropped down to 9th place.
We're accumulating some wear on the MG UK. To manage this, we'll need to lower our ERS deployment mode.
So, Jeff suggesting we lower our ERS deployment mode as Perez and Bottas fly past us. And we nearly catch the back of Bottas, but just about avoid a crash. We can't lower our ERS deployment mode, Jeff. This isn't F1 2020. catch up with the new regulations, please. However,
Right, we have a very worn-out MG UK. Our battery charge speed is suffering, and if it gets much worse, we could be forced to retire.
and on top of that, Jeff, Alonso's gone past us. We go for a little bit of a dive to try and get back past him, but we ride the curb and he goes away from us. It was a little bit of an optimistic attempt that didn't come off. We go wide at turn 1 here and see Vettel come back at us. Somehow that wasn't exceeding track limits as we squeeze back in front of Vettel. But it feels like it's a matter of time as Vettel and Stroll are battling each other. We do hold off on them
Teammate by 6.2 seconds.
for another lap, but then into turn 1, Stroll goes down the outside and gets past us. And then as we come up the straight after turn 7, Vettel goes past us as well. We try to defend on the inside and we actually managed to squeeze him, probably a little bit unfairly there, but we've nevertheless squeezed him out of the position for 13th. However, going into turn 10, he's just going to go back past us anyway, and defending that turns out to be fruitless for us as we go around the long right hander of turn 11, and we are dropping down the order a lot quicker than we would like. We've already gone from 7th to 14th in 5 laps, and as we start lap 6, Sainz is going to go past us as well.
You'll be on the hards.
Or is he, because we brake late into turn 1 and keep him behind. As you can see, we've moved up to 11th because we had the first few pit stops happen, which I believe a lot of the track seems to be going for a 2-stop, whereas I think it's Raikkonen who's on hards from the start.
Be careful, we think you're going to start losing some tyre grip around now.
Can only assume he's going for a 1-stop like ourselves, as Sainz flies past us with absolute ease. DRS as well just made it impossible. We had DRS, but the Ferrari engine is just going to wipe the floor with our engine, particularly when it's worn out. A few laps later on lap 8, we come in for our pit stop.
Exit now.
Fantastic pit stop, 1.9 seconds as we pull away.
Strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
And as you've heard from Jeff, the plan now is to get to the end of the race on these tyres, or, in my view, get to the rain on these tyres. As we come through
Teammate by 8.5 seconds.
on lap 10, you can see we're not really making a dent in on Ocon and Alonso, who are ahead of us. Giovinazzi starting to close us down a little bit more than we would like, but we press on thinking, you know, we're on the hards. Everyone in front of us has got to pit. As long as we can keep them in range of needing that pit stop, we'll be able to get a few extra places.
No rain expected. No rain expected for the time being. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
However, that does raise a little bit of concern for me, because we're on lap 10. You can see the clouds. I thought maybe the rain was starting to get ready to come down, but nothing expected at the moment, as Sebastian Vettel is out of the race. And they were doing quite well in the Aston Martins. 1 lap later on lap 11, and Lance Stroll is out of the race as well. So both Aston Martins out of the French Grand Prix within a lap of each other. Vettel was slightly earlier in his lap. Stroll parked over here on the left hand side of the track somewhere. I don't actually see him as we come round it. I don't know where he's pulled over, but it's green dots in that
Okay, clear.
turn. I have a little look behind, can't see anything, but we know he's out either way.
Daniel is coming in for his stop.
On lap 12, we see the first lot of pit stops since we pitted, which means we move up to 16th. And then we're going to just fly around on this lap, because as with most of the time on F1, that is going to mean that we're going to have another set of pit stops coming up at the end of this lap as well, which we can't see any of them going in at the moment, but that's the front runners there. And then in goes one of the Haas's, and in goes one of the Williams. It's Russell and Schumacher that we're going to go past here, but we have got Giovinazzi coming aggressive on us into turn 1, but we managed to outbrake him and stay ahead as we push on through this Grand Prix. However, lap 14, Giovinazzi cuts across us and brakes right in front of us. We have to take evasive action to avoid going into the back of him. And normally I wouldn't have, I'd have gone for trying to defend, but that one I wasn't ready for him to just cut back across our racing line and brake like that. So very lucky not to have a race ending crash there. However, one lap later we are defending from him by going all the way around the outside on turn 11, and it does come off.
Nice move. Good job.
And then as we come into turn 14 and 15, we know we've got a big defence coming up, but we can see Raikkonen pitting, and he's just starting to come out now, I believe.
Car in front is 8.
So he's done hards to mediums. Giovinazzi thinks about going up the inside of us, but never really gets a clean opportunity. However, later in the lap, this time he goes past us and comes back onto the racing line in a sensible place, so we don't risk a crash. And we are quietly looking over our shoulders at Mick Schumacher and Kimi Raikkonen as Giovinazzi makes his second pit stop of the day, along with one of the Alpines and Pierre Gasly, who we are going to come out just ahead of. But with his fresh tyres, we are going to not really have much chance of doing anything about it when he does come to pass us. And that's going to be almost straight away as we come up towards turn 10.
Ahead is 10.3 seconds.
You can see the ICE now at 81%, where MG UK 67.
DRS will be offline. There's a fault with the rear wing system. Stay out. We can work on a fix remotely.
The turbocharger at 76%, and now we've got no DRS as Raikkonen and Tsunoda come charging up at us. Raikkonen goes past, but then we defend a little bit harshly on Tsunoda, but nevertheless there's no contact. However, as we come out of turn 9, Tsunoda goes past us and makes that defence a little bit obsolete in the end. There's a little Matt Hardy reference for any wrestling fans. And we come round along turn 11. We've got Schumacher right on our tail. And as we come out of turn 7, we've got Schumacher and Alonso coming at us. And Schumacher's going up one side of Alonso up the other side. And then they're going to battle into turn 8. Schumacher looks like he's coming out on top of that. We end up catching a little bit of the back of Alonso. Nothing too serious though. But nothing we could do as those two pass us. And with this worn engine, we're already going to be thinking about Ocon. We are right behind Schumacher though when Alonso's broke DRS on him, which means maybe, despite the worn engine, have we got enough about us to go past Schumacher? We might not get to find out because Ocon is right on the back of us as we come through turn 6 and 7. We get a good exit here, as I really like the exit of that turn 7, but with the engine we're not going to be able to have enough about us. Ocon's coming up the inside of us here, and we do just about manage to outbrake him, But as has been the case a few times, he's then going to fly past us on the exit of turn 9, and we are helpless to stop him. And what makes that worse is in a moment he's going to be passing Schumacher as well, and that's going to end up giving Schumacher DRS to pull away from us, which is far from ideal for us as we fly through sector 3 here. You see, we do manage to keep pace, but I think that's more due to Schumacher slowing Ocon down. Ocon goes round the long way of Schumacher, and then on the straight after lap 7 you can see DRS, nothing we can do when Schumacher's got DRS on Ocon. What we're hoping for at this point is maybe for Ocon to get far enough away from Schumacher that he doesn't have DRS.
Looks like we might have an issue. Hang in there, we're attempting to manage it.
And now we've got an issue. Surely we're not having a second breakdown in a row, although it would somewhat be on me if we did.
Be an issue with our ERS.
And an issue with our ERS, I haven't noticed it at this stage because I've just turned it on. And here is where I notice it. We can't turn our ERS off. At this point I was pressing it multiple times, just absolutely no movement from it. However, can that ERS allow us to get a good run out of turn 6 and 7? We nearly lose the back end a little bit there due to the ERS being stuck on. That extra power. Can we do anything with DRS and ERS against Schumacher though? And the ERS runs out very quickly down the straight, and means we're not able to do anything. We are now able to turn it back off. Hamilton has already crossed the line to win the French Grand Prix, while we're still back here chasing down Mick Schumacher. And as you can see throughout the rest of this lap, it's going to be just too much for us to be able to keep up. On a fresh engine, I think we could have been a lot more competitive, but with the mistake I made, in fairness, slash not realising about the game mechanic,
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
it became a lot of defending and hoping for the best throughout the end of that Grand Prix. And unfortunately, we didn't quite have enough about us to defend from the
So,
Haas.
another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team.
As you can see, Mercedes
All of these things right
with the
together,
win.
results
However, there's a
speak for
Red Bull
themselves.
and a
After an excellent performance,
McLaren on the podium as well. It's Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. Would be nice to see that in real life at sometime soon. But Hamilton celebrating another win. Verstappen also said, "Well, there's no stuff coming out of them bottles." Not sure what's happened there. I didn't notice that when I was watching it, but there we go. Hamilton does what he does, gets a win. Bottas down in 8th, Perez in 7th. So the Red Bull and Mercedes at the moment still a little bit one driver orientated. But there you can see the error from Vettel, and so this was an error where I had somebody calling me on Discord, so I apologise for the Discord noise. But that is the French Grand Prix. A disappointing end for us, down in 15th in the end. But hopefully next time out I'll remember to sort the engine out after practice and we can come back stronger. If you have enjoyed that, please do leave a like down below. Comment what you think will happen throughout the rest of the season. I'm hoping in the next few days to get the episode 2 of the Cult Career Mode with Ashman out on my channel. Episode 1's already out on his. I will leave a link to it up in the top right and also down in the description, so check that out. subscribe for more F1 and FM content, and thank you very much for watching.